Hi guys, this is Tech Howdy. I welcome you to another video tutorial on creating a featured image slider using ASP.NET Core and Angular 8. In the last video tutorial, we added the functionality to create image preview. So whenever we upload images, we would be able to create a preview of any selected image by the user. As you see, I can see a preview of the selected images. Also, I can see the row created to add a title, caption, alt text, and description for the image. This was done in the last video tutorial. In this video tutorial, we will add the functionality to clear the preview in case if the user decides to add other images and does not want to delete the images individually, but wants to delete all the images at once, basically meaning clearing the preview, so they can do that by just one click. We'll also fix the image counts on this button here, which is displaying 4. So if the image gets deleted, a row gets deleted, then this should also decrease. Also, we have to add the functionality to delete a row when clicked delete or when clicked edit. But first, let's go ahead and fix the clear preview and this image count button over here. So let's close this app from running and go back to the gallery.js file where we have added some JavaScript, some jQuery code. So in this file, what we want to do, as mentioned here, we have two methods. First is the count table row. We need to first go ahead and add this method, and then we have to create a method to clear the preview. So let's do that. So to create this method, I'll scroll down to the bottom and I'm going to add the count table row method over here, which is going to count the number of rows that have been created. Now the next thing that I want to do is click on the create preview button. So to create the preview, I'm going to call the method as clear preview. All this method will do is going to clear the preview from the table. So I'll target the table by its ID, then go to the body of the table and check if the length of the table body is greater than 0. If the length of the table body is greater than 0, that means we have more than one row or one row inside the table body. If the length is less than 0, that means we do not have a row inside the table. So if we have a row inside, if the length is greater than 0, we have a row inside the table. So what we want to do, all the row tags, we are going to remove them by calling the .remove method. And then after we have removed all the rows, we want to reset the counter for images to 0. So that should be it for the clear preview method. So let's go ahead and first run this application and check if the clear preview option works. So I'm going to start debugging. So here the application is loaded. All we want to do is go and click on upload images, select some test images, and then we will click on clear preview. By doing this, the preview has been cleared. Now the next thing that we notice that the counter also has been set to 0. Once again, I'm going to select some images and then I'm going to click on delete each row. As you notice that I cannot delete the row because we have not yet added the functionality. Also this clear preview button, the method, how is it called? So let's go and look at the bootstrap code that we have over here. You can always check the ID by inspecting the element. And if you inspect the element, you can see that we have a button which is calling the when clicked, we fire off the clear preview method. So that's how when the clear preview button is clicked, the method is fired off. Okay. Now the next option that we want to do, as I told you, that when the delete button is clicked, we need to fire off the row deletion method. So let's work on that. So we don't have to stop the application since we are not writing any C# code here. So after writing the jQuery code, we can just refresh the page or reload the page and the jQuery files will be reloaded. So we don't have to rebuild the application again. So here now what we want to do is when the delete button is clicked. So the delete button is inside this column here, which is inside a div tag of button group. So the first button is edit, the second button is delete. Since we are dynamically generating this row every time, so we have multiple delete buttons creating, but they are calling the same remove file method. So we will go ahead and create this method. So when the button is clicked, it can find this method and fire off the method. So let's do that over here. So here at the bottom, I'm going to add the method that is going to remove the files from the array list. What do I mean by array list? In the last video tutorial, I explained that this array, we are pushing each file into this form objects array. Now what we want to do when the button is clicked, we also want to remove these files from the array. So that's what we are doing here. We are going to remove the files from the array so that the preview also is deleted. So first we will get the row where the button was clicked. So if we go back to our application, when this button is clicked, we want to make sure that we get the details of this particular row. When the second button is clicked here, so we get the details of this particular row. Basically, we get the details of the row where this button is available. So in jQuery, by calling the method item.closest, we can get the value of the tab. We are basically passing the entire row which is clicked or entire table inside this method, and then the closest tr to the button, the tr tag, the closest tr tag, table row tag to the button that was clicked. We are getting that table row and storing it over here. And after that, what we want to do is once again we are checking if the table exists, and if the table body exists, and if there is any table row, then check the length of the row. If we have more than one table rows, which means when the button is clicked, there obviously is at least one row available. So if the length is greater than one, then what we want to do is if we want to remove any object from a JavaScript array, we will call the dot splice method and we'll specify the index of the object that we want to remove. So the first row, if the first row is clicked, then we want to delete the first item in the index. If the second row is clicked, then we want to delete the second item in the index. So, and then we want to remove the row by calling the dot remove method. And finally, we want to also create the table row. So the count of the table rows, we need to update that. Also, the next thing, if the table rows length is equal to 1, that means only one row is existing, then what we want to do. If there is one row existing, then we will directly remove the entire table body. So which means we will regenerate the table body when we have more than one images. So if I go back to the application, if I delete 1, 2, 3, and then I have only one row left. So if I click on this row, so I'm checking if there is at least one row, which means if the value is equal to 1, then this method, this block of code will execute, where we are going to set the value of the entire form object 0 array to an empty array. So we'll delete the entire objects inside the array, elements inside the array. Now form objects 1, you can ignore this at the moment because we have not yet created this. So we have just created one array which is currently storing the image files. We will work on the form object array 2 when we work on the other data like the title, description. We will work on this array object later, but for now we have just created one array object which is storing the image files. So we will set that to an empty array once again. But if there is more than one row, that means we cannot set it back to empty array. So that's why we are just removing the index that was clicked. So all this splice method does is we will specify the elements index. So the elements index is basically the index of the row, whichever row is clicked. If the fifth row is clicked, then the row index will be 5. So element, first we specify the index and then how many elements you want to delete items. So we just want to delete one row. So that's how it is done here. After the array has been cleared, the index, then we'll also clear the entire row and then also update the value of the image count. So now let's save this gallery.js file and go back to application. Since I'm on a Mac, I'm going to click Control R or Command R to reload the page. If you are on Windows, you can do Control F5 to reload the page and it will reload all the JavaScript files once again. So now what we can do is we can go ahead and click on upload images, select our images and try to test the delete option to see if it works. So if I click delete, as you see, the row is deleted, the selected row is deleted, also the image count is updated. Now the count of the row is equal to 1. There's only one row. And if you inspect the element, here you can see that there is a table body tag. Okay, so there's a table body tag over here. So what we are going to do, if the count of the row is 1, then we are going to delete this entire table body tag, because that's what our method over here specifies, that if it's 1, then delete the entire table body tag. So if I go here and I clear this, this should delete the entire table body tag, and when we add another image, the table body tag will be created again. So that should be it for this video tutorial. I hope you learned something, and also you will have this code available in the DevOps repo. If you have any questions, use the comment section. I'll be happy to answer your questions. Please like and subscribe our channel for providing more and more content like this. So now, once again, goodbye and have a wonderful day. In the next video tutorial, I will see you guys.